Well, Wednesday, additional thoughts, Astroworld. I like starting the videos like that. I don't know why. People have mentioned that they like
Words?
with words. Yeah, I like starting the videos with words. Yeah. No. Well, let's start with the obvious, shall we? In front of 60,000 people, I have performed an epic fail of reacting to the censored version of Astroworld, which of course begs the obvious question of how did that happen, and more so, why did it continue to happen? Into those two questions, dear viewers, I say that's a fabulous question. You are correct in asking those, and I'm glad that you asked. I wish I had an answer that was made any sense at all. Have you ever had a situation in your life where you're doing something and you're not necessarily panicked, but you're a little too caught up in it, and you're like, oh man, I gotta do this thing, whatever it is, right? And you do it and you do it and you do it, and it's kind of hard and difficult, and you get done with it, and then right when you're done, a friend comes by or whatever, or maybe you're talking to somebody about it, and you tell them what you did, and then they go, well, how come you didn't just do it like this? And then they describe a way that's about 10 times easier than what you just did. And then you go, wow, I feel really dumb. That was me on Friday. So I was setting up for the reaction, and I do my thing, right? I get the album set up on the screen. I get my camera stuff set up. I get all the tabs from Genius, so I've got all the tracks ready. And on title, I always try and pick the album that says Master on it. And I did that. And I got 2 or 3 tracks in, and I started to realize, oh, this is censored. But for some reason, I thought, well, I can either continue with the censored version or start over. And I didn't want to start over because I was about 3 songs in or so. And, I don't want a fake reaction. So I didn't want to re-react to 3 songs I just heard because it wasn't going to be legit. Like that matters to me. I want it to be the first listen, even if it means I fuck up the first listen. That's the experience. But some people ask, well, how come you didn't just switch to the uncensored version between tracks? And it's like, I don't know. I wish there was an answer that made any sense, but it just never crossed my mind. So the silver lining, I think, to all of this is that there have been a lot of people who've found it very entertaining, like funny, and it has been kind of funny in that sense. But for me, the silver lining is even with the censored version, even with certain parts of certain tracks, and really this album doesn't have a lot of swearing, so it wasn't really that bad in my opinion. But even with the chopped up vocals in some sections, I still enjoyed the album, which means I was fully invested in the production, which is a great thing for me with Travis Scott, since that's the big draw of what he does, right? The production. So there's that. What else did I make myself look stupid with? Oh, the sicko verse. Right. I have notes, but there's really not a lot of notes here. I thought I wrote more. So the sicko verse and Drake and what he did, right? I totally missed everything about it in terms of what made it impactful. Because when I was listening to it, it didn't make any sense. He's talking about creeping around in the dark and cutting the lights, and then he's just down the street, and it's like, what? This made no sense to me, right? And there have been times I've talked about in the past where I say how there's all these language barriers in hip-hop, and a lot of them being reference related. If you don't know the reference, if you know, you know. And if you don't, you don't. So with Drake's verse on Sicko, I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about. Obviously, people explained it to me on Discord. Even somebody posted a picture on Discord, I guess that was from that time, where it showed a picture of where Drake lived and where Kanye lived. They were beefing at the time. It's about Kanye. It's Drake saying how he's going to sneak around at night in the neighborhood and go to Kanye's house and do all this weird shit, and the checks over stripes, checks over stripes, or no, anyway. So the verse that Drake made, way better than I first realized. And I remember once I had it explained to me, I actually went for a jog Saturday morning, and I just listened to Astroworld while I was jogging. And that track came on, and I was really listening to it. And I went, oh, fuck. Okay, this is pretty good. This is a pretty good verse. Now, I do have to say, I still find it kind of like creepy. This idea that that Drake is like insinuating he's going to sneak around the neighborhood at night and like go find Kanye's house. And like, apparently he was, he's hinting at cheating, having Kim Kardashian cheat on Kanye with him and all this other shit. And then I don't know how true this was, but people were talking about it in Discord about how apparently it kind of got into Kanye's head and all this stuff. So I just, as I learned the verse, it was this weird roller coaster of, oh, okay, wow, this is a much better verse than I first thought. And then as I came to understand it more, I went, this is so dumb. Like, especially with Kanye and Drake beefing and, their mansions are a couple blocks away from each other. And it's like, do these fucking people just have nothing better to do than to like get inside of each other's heads and think about the other person? I mean, I don't know, it's just bizarre to me. So there's all that. But I just want to say that because, there is another thing I want to say with the Drake thing, right? There is a Drake hater demon that has like come to creation within me for whatever reason, right? So I'm going to say this now. I don't know when, but before the year is done, I will do another Drake album. Most likely it will be Nothing Was the Same. I want to face this Drake hate demon head on and find out, okay, is it just Drake haters getting to me, or do I just not enjoy Drake? So I'm going to go listen to some more of his music because I need to, because that's one of the big points of this channel is to challenge my opinion. And it's time to challenge my own opinion about Drake because a lot of you are leaving comments like, hey, you're being way too critical. And I agree. I think that's a fair criticism. Regarding the album itself, Astroworld, I was getting kind of excited today, maybe a little too excited because I started thinking about this album and how I'm enjoying it and how much I'm enjoying it. And it occurred to me that for me, this album, Astroworld, is almost a 10 in my criteria. My criteria of a 10 is no skips. Yep, no skips here, in my opinion. I can listen to it at any time. Yep, I can put this one on at any time. But the real test is when you turn it on, you don't turn it off until it's done. So one of the albums I always use as an example of that is Pink Floyd's Animals. That's my favorite Pink Floyd album. I put it on. I do not turn it off till it's done. Astroworld is not there for me yet, but I've been listening to it for 5 days, whereas Animals I've listened to for 25 years. I don't quite have that continuity experience with this album like I do with Animals. But I realized I love Astroworld. I love Astroworld, you guys. And I say that with some hesitancy because I feel like I almost love it for the wrong reason. But then I go, no, that's the whole point. Because so many people have said the reason why this album is great, why they enjoy it so much, is because it's all about the vibe. You just put it on and you chill with it, you jam with it, whatever. As I was exploring it over the weekend, it occurred to me there's no real like bangers on this one. There's no like heavy beats. There's no crazy. And we were even having a discussion again on Discord. Discord's part of Patreon. Anyway, I was kind of surprised that, everything that happened at the Astroworld event where people were getting so out of hand that people were getting crushed and killed. I was kind of surprised that happened because to me, there's no songs that really elicit that type of reaction. For me, this is super chill. And people said Travis does a really good job with his live shows and lots of energy and getting people hyped up. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. But for me, with this album, this is basically almost an ambient album for me in the sense of how I enjoy it. When I put on an ambient album, especially ones that I love, I don't listen to it. I don't put it on so that I can pay super close attention to every little thing that's happening and like go along with the music, right? It's sound. And I put it on and it's more of like a mental state that I want to wash over me. Astroworld's the same thing for me. The production is rich. The tracks feed right into each other. It's all pretty kind of chill. I feel I can just have it on for hours. And it's weird because I always feel like it's an insult to say, oh, it's an album that I can put on and not pay attention to because it sounds disrespectful. But no, it's something else entirely. It's like this this audio presence that you just put on to fill the space around you so you can kind of exist in that atmosphere. So that's what Astroworld is for me. Now, the people who don't like Astroworld, I highly suspect, and just kind of, you don't have to say anything in comments. I mean, you can if you want to, but I highly suspect that if you don't like Astroworld, you probably also do not listen to ambient. I'm just kind of curious. I'm curious if those two things correlate with each other, because I feel like if I was not a fan of ambient music and if I didn't listen to it, like some people, oh yeah, that sounds cool. No, I fucking listen to ambient music. I will put it on sometimes. Not as much lately because I've been doing so much hip hop, but there's been times I'll just listen to ambient music for hours. I feel like if I didn't have that enjoyment, I wouldn't click with Astroworld. Lyrically, not a whole lot going on. You know, in terms of like beats, there's not a lot of, I don't want to say like crazy variation, but you know, it just kind of feeds from song to song to song. And it's almost like an endless stream of audio experience rather than where you put on other albums and it's like, oh man, I love this song. And you go crazy with it. And then the other song comes on, and you know, all these different songs of their own kind of experience. Astroworld's not that. It's just a continuous flow of sound. But it's such a chill album. I really, really do enjoy it. And the only thing I did not do this week, and I have a note here, it says, is Rodeo better? I never got the time to put Rodeo on to see, do I like Astroworld more or do I like Rodeo more? So that kind of sucks. I wish I would have found the time to do that before this video, but here we are. Some of my favorite tracks, R.I.P. Screw is still one of my favorites. The last two are still my favorite as well. I'm just listing all my favorites as is, you know, they're all tied for first place. Houston Fornication, Coffee Bean is great. Yosemite, I still really like. 5% Tint, I still really like. I mean, but really, it is an audio experience, and that's why I enjoy it. So I remember thinking about that today of why I enjoy it. Like, I almost felt like I was enjoying it for the wrong reasons, enjoying it like an ambient album. But then I was like, well, no, that's what people always say. It's a vibe. It's a thing that you just settle into. It's not something that you pay close attention to. And even some people left comments saying there was still too much lyrical analysis, which is true. And it's also funny because I went into the reaction with the mindset of, okay, don't focus on lyrics. And I still managed to talk for over an hour during the album reaction, which is kind of funny. So hopefully that is a silver lining to the cloud of reacting to the censored version and ruining the reaction video. The fact that, you know, I love this album. So hopefully the Astroworld fans are somewhat comforted by that. And I think that's it. That's really all I have written down. Some people were saying the censored version is the Fortnite version, and my son was like, oh yeah, it was on Fortnite. Oh shit. I like it being called the Fortnite version. I guess that's it. Friday, the final day of September, is going to be JPEG Mafia's LP, the offline version. I purchased it via Bandcamp, so I'm ready to go. Some people have said, oh, you also got to do Bald and Bald Remix. But then other people said those are part of the EPs. So I'm probably going to leave those for the EPs. I'm going to look at the track list and see, what is it? It's Bald Remix, and then there's something else that's like Cutie or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. If those are in the EP, I'll save those tracks for the EP. Because I plan on doing the EPs as well. So I'm looking forward to that. More JPEG Mafia. I love JPEG Mafia. And I guess that's it. Tomorrow is another Thursday Buog, Bob's Underground Artist Gauntlet. We got some good music again lined up. So it's at 7 p.m. on Twitch. Hopefully that's transitioning to YouTube soon. YouTube's changing their rules with copyright stuff in videos. And so hopefully that will spill into the live streams and I can do a live stream without it being shut down by YouTube's copyright scan system. Because I don't like using Twitch. I don't want to use Twitch. I'd rather be on YouTube. I'd rather keep everything kind of in one spot. Anyway, there you go. Hope you guys can join 7 p.m. tomorrow for the Buog. And if not, Friday, JPEG Mafia, LP. We'll see you guys then.